So
Yeah, I
that's just
love
a little
what
bit
you
of what
do,
I'm going
man.
on. Yeah.
I love what you do, man. I love what you do. And we are so looking forward to the next time that we get to talk. And one of these days, we're gonna meet up, man. And it's gonna be a rip roaring time. And we just want to
Yep.
say thank you for being here tonight, brother.
Thank you, bro. Later,
All
guys.
right. So with that being said, guys, on to the next. All right, guys. Recently, I had whistleblower Michael Herrera on the podcast. He told a story, his experience in Indonesia with the Marine Corps, where he was overtaken by some military or some unmarked military men. Well, they were clearly military, I should say. They were unmarked, all black, all dressed in black. There was a UFO in the distance, and they were conducting some sort of operation. They were disarmed, or not disarmed, but they were basically disarmed. And you can find his testimony. I'll put the link for that podcast in the description below. However, guys, so there has been a new development in that story. Michael's platoon leader has come out. Now, the platoon leader is opposing Michael's testimony. So I just want to warn you that there is conflict here. I've talked to Michael Herrera. I have not been able to get in touch with platoon leader Nathaniel. However, from what Michael is telling me is that I'll tell you after we play the videos from the Vetted podcast. But Vetted podcast had on the platoon leader, a platoon leader. We are not exactly sure if he was actually on the Indonesia trip. We don't know if he was the team leader for that mission. There are a lot of details that are still missing. So right now it's really testimony versus testimony, and story versus story. But we did cover the initial story and Michael's story. So I do feel the need that we need to present all sides. So here's the first clip.
With the help of Joey Is Not My Name, who was an independent investigator looking into Michael's case, I was able to get an interview with Nathan. He even agreed to go on camera, show his face. Now let me mention that Nathan has never done an interview before this. So what you'll see later in this video has never been presented about Michael Herrera's story. So they let him back in after that?
Yeah, they still got to get their time.
When you're first introduced to Michael, he's already had this history of missing a deployment. Mm-hmm. And he's showing up wanting to kind of be treated like, I'm not a new guy, I've been around the block. But you're like, you actually haven't been on a deployment, so you're technically new, right? Essentially.
Yeah, that's just how it works. Like, also, no one's going to look favorably on you if you ran away from a deployment. So you show up to me and it's like, great, now I have the problem child. And he wants to, and he thinks we're buddies because at one point we were in the same peer group. So it was a weird thing.
So you're his team leader. How do you become a team leader, and how big is the team?
Yeah, 18 months by the time I got out, months at a time. You just float around.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I have way too much time on, got on the helicopters. We flew in. That's the one in 18 months by the time I got out. So
what does a typical day of humanitarian aid work look like? Like, what are you doing exactly? Like, what does that look like?
Well, that's the one and only humanitarian mission I ever did.
What does a typical day of humanitarian aid work look like? Like, what are you doing exactly? Like, what does that look like?
Well, so we didn't even have a big role. We just, from what I remember, we got on the helicopters, we flew in, I think we brought them shovels and like food, and we landed, and I confirmed it because I have these photos are floating around that I've seen on all these things that they come from me. and it had collapsed. And I remember they said, "Oh, that's like the school, and there's people still in there." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus." And I was like, I just remember thinking, I don't know how you're going to move that. Like, and that's one of the pictures. I was drinking a coconut. So this little kid, we all just stood there staring up. And I've seen it on some of these people send me photos of the LZ. And I'm like, I was standing in that corner. That's the big ass tree. He hacked him down. We had some coconuts and we took off a little while later.
Coming in on choppers. So your guys' base camp.
So sorry about the editing. I must not have caught that little fast forward thing. But we're going to keep going.
It doesn't show any guns, anything, because you guys are going for humanitarian aid. So
yeah, that's another thing people get stuck up on is weapons, right? He said we have weapons. So we went in, best of my recollection, we went in day 2, right? By this time, when we went in, we had already been told, you are not bringing rifles. You're not bringing weapons because that looks bad. Everyone's taking photos. And why does a guy have an M16 taking a knee in front of a bunch of locals that need shovels? It just doesn't look good. So what I remember was, I think it was, grapevine, rumor stuff. Some Air Force colonel in charge of stuff said, get back on, don't bring that crap back. And it kind of fits. I've seen photos of the 9th where they have weapons or combat load. And I recognize one of the guys, he was a different platoon. It makes sense. They went in the first day. Day 2 comes around. My platoon goes in. By this time, there's no rifles. And when you tell Marines going to Indonesia, because they gave us like information, way up north, there's a lot of terrorism and this. So, young Marines are like, gotta have my guns, right? Gotta bring your rifles. Some may or may not have brought pistols in their backpacks just to protect themselves. Got it. So
not following any orders to do that. Just
no, that's like accord. I'm just going to protect myself. Put it in the backpack. Yeah. That's another thing I've said to people is like, if I had a weapon, you would see it in every photo. There is not a chance in hell that weapon is coming off my body. It is just not happening. Oh, I'm just going to leave a rifle in the jungle. Oh my God! Like if someone in the military is listening, they know it's not happening.
You don't do that. Yeah, you don't do that.
And that's
so it's a strap. The gun has a strap. Essentially, your rifle would.
As well as we didn't have radios. That's what I heard him say. We did not have radios. You were never going anywhere without a radio. You think they're dropping Marines to walk into a jungle with no radios? I've been in plenty of jungles. You get lost in like 30 feet. You're not coming back. It's a non-starter.
Now, the only thing that's unsettling with this is the fact that they never gave us any comms. You know as well as I do how risky that is.
You didn't have any comms?
We didn't have any comms. Would have had comms, you're damn right would have called it in. Report something suspicious. Maybe get some eyes on a helo, get a hold of their call signs and try to do them fly around, and they never did. And obviously we didn't have comms to do it, but they were more occupied with what was going on behind us.
Back on the boat, where do you keep your weapons? Are you issued the weapon and it's yours to take care of at all times? Are the pistols also
like my photo with Herrera and my guy, and you see me on my photos standing there? There's nothing.
Or whatever is still the boat.
Oh yeah. So you went in once because it's kind of like everyone gets to go in once. It's a cool little thing. Hand some stuff, come back, you get a ribbon, humanitarian. It's just they need some people to carry stuff in. It was we're just extra people at that point. The Marine infantry isn't like crushing humanitarian aid. We're just, what do you need us to do? Oh, carry stuff? Okay, cool.
Your humanitarian day trip out, you were not with Michael.
No, I was, yeah.
Oh, you were with Michael. So you went with Michael out for this aid mission.
Yeah.
Okay, so the same mission that he says he encountered this UFO, you were with him, and that and according to your recollection, that did not happen.
It did not happen. It did not happen because I took the photo of my 2 guys, my fire team, on the helicopter going in to the humanitarian aid. He's right there. He's in the photo. There's no
Michael
weapon.
says that's not.
Well, I know that would be a problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It did not happen because to the humanitarian aid, he's right there. He's in the photo. There's no
Michael
weapon.
says that's not him.
Well, I know that would be a problem, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would be a problem. But no, no one's doubted I'm his team leader, right? They
Sure.
know I am.
Yeah.
I'm glad 14 years ago I made the little caption of my photo. It was like, the two devils I'm responsible for, meaning devil dogs. The two guys I'm in charge of. There's two of them, Herrera and another guy named Patrick. They're right there.
Okay, so Michael is claiming that that's not him in the photo, and that he got approached, I guess, separately at night or something to go on this separate mission. Have you ever heard of anything like that happening?
No, that didn't happen because he's the lowest of the low. He's the newest guy there. No one's going to him for any special hookup. You don't get hooked up. It's not it, and it just wouldn't happen. I'm his team leader. Like, it's just
you know where he is at all times. What's going on?
I have to.
No
one goes to come here. You want to do something? No, you got squad leaders, platoon sergeants, platoon commanders, company gunny. It doesn't work like that.
So, guys, I've talked to Michael. Michael has been told not to respond and to let guys like me, Joey is not my name, which is his Twitter handle, guys like us, to respond, because apparently this is Michael's side of the story. Again, just presenting both sides, not taking a stance here. Because Nathan, this guy from Vetted, he seems very, very credible. Sounds just as truthful as Michael did. So again, I'm kind of, I'm even at a loss for words here. So Michael says that he was not on the mission that night, and that it was a separate thing that he was asked to do. Now, it is true that Michael, and he did admit it, that he did go what you would consider not AWOL, but unattended, UA, unaccounted for. And he did miss his first deployment, but that's because someone that was very close to him was very sick and passing away. So he kind of explained that side. And from the testimony that I'm gathering from Vetted, it's more or less Nathan just kind of, going through his side of the story. So again, we've seen this before. Right now, until there's more evidence, it's going to stay story versus story, testimony versus testimony. The picture that Nathaniel is saying is the smoking gun. Michael says that is not him in the picture. Again, Michael says that is not him in the picture. And if you do look at pictures that are of Michael at that age, there is not too much. I wouldn't say that there's not a resemblance, but it definitely doesn't look exactly the same. But again, the pictures, with the helmet on, the strap on, so again, I'm just at a loss for words on this one. I'm more I'm friends with Michael. I don't know Nathan. So I'm going to stick with Michael on this one as of right now until further notice. But I do want to know what you guys think in the comments. So make sure to like, make sure to share, make sure to subscribe. If you want to go a step further, guys, make sure that you join our membership. We have a couple different options. Everyone gets the same unless you do it through the audio. Then it's just the early access. But again, it's much cheaper. So if you want to do it that